there, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I'm your host, Joe the Panther, the third. And wow, Canadian wrestlers just keep coming and coming, man. It's like one of my favorite rappers, DJ, is going, another one, man. Let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside welcome to my guest. Introduce yourself.
I am the upperclassman Jefferson James, hailing from Portland Estates in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. In case any of you don't know where that is the richest neighborhood in all of the Halifax Regional Municipality.
Wow. I guess my check cleared. I guess So, who trained you?
So, in August of 2016, a new school opened up, actually. It was ran and operated by the man of many names, but Troy Merrick, the Dream Killer. He's been wrestling for 20-something years now across the Maritimes, close to it, around there. I did training with him for about 3 months, and then after that, I just started doing shows, I want to say, like, the end of January 2017. And I just kept doing shows from that point on. Had to take the year off last year due to a lower back injury, but I kind of came back full force, doing my thing with Wrestling Academy 2023, a little bit of bookings in the Maritimes. And that's just been pretty much it, man.
Awesome. So let's go back. So what
Sure.
was your mindset to when you first decided, I want to be a professional wrestler in your first practice? What was what was your energy like?
Very nerve-wracking because I've watched wrestling since I was like 9 years old. My first wrestling match that I ever saw was Jeff Hardy versus Mr. Kennedy on Friday Night SmackDown when I'm back in like 2007. And then at that point on, I just said, I think this is what I want to do. And then when I started my training, I was very nervous because I was unsure if it was for me or not. But I was also 19 when I started. However, it was just something that kept me going because I just never knew where it was going to take me. And once I started to like get the basics and whatnot, I was like, okay, well, I think this is pretty much it from here. And I did a lot of shows up in New England, in Maine, in Boston. I actually wrestled at Fenway Park in 2019. So that's one thing to add, plus Wrestling Academy 2023. It's another thing to add to my belt, especially when it's under the tutelage of Jacques, formerly known as the Mountie in WWF, Rougeau.
Oh wow. What was it like to be trained by a legend like Jacques Rougeau? Like that's crazy.
So I was never trained by Jacques, actually. I only did Wrestling Academy. Like Wrestling Academy is basically like a reality based series of shows. So there's the quarterfinals, which took place this month, and then the second portion is taking place in the beginning of June. Semifinals will be taking place in August, and then the finals happen in September. So it's not an official like training class or wrestling school through him. It's more so a wrestling contest to see who's basically the best to win $10,000 and 3 month scholarship to train at the Nightmare Factory with QT Marshall.
Wow. That's crazy. Like what do you like what were you thinking when you were doing this like contest? Like what like
I was thinking I got to stand out in somehow, some way. And I was given advice by actually one of the winners there, Dylan Davis. He told me stand out as much as you can, whether it's like promo work, gear, look, moveset. You have to show up. You have to make a presence. Otherwise, no one's going to care. Not the judges, not QT Marshall, who handpicks people at the end of the day to go to the finals or the semifinals. So I basically just went in there thinking I got to do what I got to do. The nerves were definitely high, but the mindset was straightforward.
That's always important to when you go do like a contest. Like I was a swimmer, like you have to make sure you're like the breakout person.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you can't go in there with a pair of black tights and like a white t-shirt and expect the coach to go, that guy's the next Roman Reigns. You have to go with something that'll make the judge or the coach go, "Damn." If
Absolutely, and in my opinion, like there were a lot of standouts in that match. You know what I mean? You had a lot of characters. You had some guys with size, guys with chiseled abs, and what I had was really unique moves and really nice gear. So, in my opinion, I felt like there were guys that had more in that regard, like the character work and whatnot. But I think what I had were very unique moves, and I think that's what stood out to QT Marshall the most.
Hmm, awesome. So, what was your mindset and energy like going to your through in your first ever match?
In my first ever match, Um, definitely don't get hurt. I think that's the number one thing everyone has, like going through their first match, and don't hurt somebody else. But most of all, I was just like, I don't know how the fans are going to respond to me. I don't know what this is going to be like, because when I was younger, I was very shy. I was very introverted. So for me to do something like that, my first match ever, I did not know what to expect. I was scared. I thought I was going to pass out, to be honest with you, but I didn't, luckily, and I'm still here.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the one thing, like, your first match, you're just sitting there backstage, just drinking your water, listening how the crowd's reacting, and you're like, "Okay, I just heard a boo. Oh, no." Like,
Yeah,
what like yeah, sorry.
and that's the thing. Like over time, like I realized cheers or boos don't necessarily matter. They're a part of the show. It's a show at the end of the day. It's entertainment. It doesn't necessarily mean that they actually don't like you, or if they actually do like you, it just means they're into the show. So recently, I was a babyface for a company locally around here, and it just didn't work because most of the time I'm a heel anyways, and so the majority of the crowd did not like me, and they liked my opponent. So I was like, well, something's got to change, right? And so after the match, I thought about, I was like, well, maybe I should have worked a little bit of heel out there, did some heel interaction just to see how they would respond. But that's a lesson learned on my part. So
Yeah.
well, first match in, yes, you're definitely worried about that for sure, especially when you're super new. You're told by the promoter you're a baby face, and you just want them to like you the whole entire way. But at the end of the day, you do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, you gotta, like, in wrestling and in podcasting, like,
Mm-hmm.
your first show your first match always could be the match that you don't wanna remember, like, you could be running down the aisle and like, that's the horrible thing to
You
remember.
trip.
What happened to what's name in the Saudis when he went for the greatest rumble and tripped on the ramp and went down under the ring. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like moments like that you worry for, but now it's like I don't worry about moments like that. I just move on. I brush it off. I'm like, haha, whatever. It is what it is. But at first, I was scared for those moments for the life of me. Like, especially when I started climbing to the top rope, like, I had no confidence in myself whatsoever because I was always worried about falling off the top rope. And
oh,
now it's fine. You know what I mean?
yeah. So, what is your energy like the week of a show? Like, what is your regimen like?
Lots of gym training for sure. So I'll do at least like 10 minutes of fasted cardio on the treadmill, and then I'll do like weights, and then after that go 15 minutes on the stairmaster at a level of 7 or 8 for speed, and then I stretch afterwards. So that's pretty much my regiment, like throughout the entire week until like the day of the show, which typically are either on Fridays or Saturdays, sometimes even Sundays. You know what I mean? So I definitely keep myself busy during the week, because without training, without any exercise whatsoever, there's more risk of injury. There's less chance of looking good out there, and the crowd does not buy into your product as much. So I have to do whatever I can to make sure like I get my full regimen in. Otherwise, it just doesn't go as planned.
Yeah, that's like the most important part and the dangerous part of being a wrestler. You do your training, you do all the stuff you're supposed to do, take your medicines, you just do your prayer before your match, and then you go out there and the crowd doesn't pop.
No,
Nobody reacts.
exactly.
and you get that stupid whispering, the giggle from the little kids in the front row, and you're going, "Oh my god, did I just fail?" Then the promoter goes, "Are you available in 2 weeks?" And you're like, "What?" Like,
No, exactly. And that's the thing you worry about. But like, even then, when like you get whispers and all that, like indie wrestling, you hear everything that the fans say. On TV, you can't hear anything because like they're so far away from the ring, right? But some rings, like fans are like nearly close to it, just enough like so you can walk around the aisle. But otherwise, like if it was TV, man, I would have no worries at all. Even if fans do say things, man, it's like whatever, man. Gotta do what you gotta do at the end of the day. Wrestling is very opinionated. You know what I mean? It's subjective, not just from the wrestlers, but from the fans themselves. So you kind of
yeah.
have to take everything for the grain of salt and just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, you got it. You just like, as I said, podcasting, wrestling, it's almost the same thing. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you could have a
There's
really
a
bad
lot of
interview.
similarities.
Yeah. Like, if you could have one really, really bad show, and then the next show could be, like, the best show you ever do. Like, right now,
Mhm.
I'm with you, hanging out talking to you, and I'm in America and on the East
And I'm
Coast.
in Canada, down in Nova Scotia to the east.
Yeah, like, and I'm
Airtime.
so excited to have you on. So, like,
Thank you.
let's talk about what you're talking about. Like, you got me for the, contest. Is there a
Pardon
let's
me.
yeah, yeah.
What was the question? Sorry.
Oh, that the contest that we were talking about, the one that we that is like a is like I don't
Ran
know.
and operated by Jacques Rougeau.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So what the wrestling contest is? It is called Wrestling Academy 2023, held at Club Soda in Montreal, Quebec. Founded and operated by Jacques Rougeau. He was known as the Mountie in the early 1990s. Actually, won the Intercontinental Championship from Bret the Hitman Hart. And so he did it last year, and he handpicked some of the best from across Canada. And last year there were actually four winners. There was Matt Black from Ontario. Excuse me, Matt Black from Ontario, Jeremy Prophet and Jessica Black from Quebec, and Moondog Dylan Davis from Newfoundland.
Hmm.
And so, because of the way it went last year, Jacques wanted to do it again this year. And so, while I was away while I was away due to an injury, I was like, well, I may as well, try and give this a shot and see what I can do. And so I've gotten advice from Moondog on how the process works. And then I sent in my promo a few times to Jacques. Jacques gave me feedback on it, on what he wants. And so I just kept working at it and working at it until I got it the way he wanted. So he posted the promo as like an application, basically, like for me to apply. And then I think it was about a month after that is when he went to the Nightmare Factory while the four winners of Wrestling Academy 2022 went up and trained there. And him and QT Marshall handpicked everyone to be in the contest, and I happened to be one of the names in that was handpicked. And so it was very nerve wracking. I was very excited at the same time. But I told myself, I was like, okay, this is all or nothing. Because if I just go in there expecting everything, then it's just not going to go as planned. And so, um, my quarterfinal show was on May 7th, and I basically went in there thinking I got to do what I got to do. That's
Hmm.
all.
So, um, right before we go, I have two more questions.
Sure.
One question is, after a show, what is your favorite food to eat, bar none?
Oh man. In Canada, definitely a donair. I'm a big donair poutine guy. Um, in America, Domino's Pizza, you guys have more variety with your Domino's Pizza compared to ours. So, that's my favorite food to eat in both countries. But of all time, probably a poutine for sure,
Hmm.
or pizza.
Yeah, I hear everywhere I go, I'm like, "There's poutine, I'm gonna try it." Nah, I'll get myself pizza, and I'm like, I always miss my chance. I'm
Mhm.
like, "Damn it, it was poutine."
Sorry, sorry to go back onto your previous question. You were wanting to know more about the contest?
Yeah, 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 let's keep talking about it.
Yeah, for sure. So last year it was $5,000 the winners got, all four of them, and a 3 month scholarship at the Nightmare Factory. But what they also got was a chance to be at AEW when they came to Toronto, Ontario, and all four of them actually got matches on AEW Dark. Um, Jeremy Prophet and Jessica Michael, or sorry, not Jessica Michael, Jessica Black, but she was known as Jessica Neary on AEW Dark. Got to wrestle Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. Matt Black got to wrestle Frankie Kazarian, and Moondog Dylan Davis got to compete in a tag team match with Junior Benito as his partner against Satnam Singh and Jay Lethal.
Oh, wow.
So this year it entails $10,000 and a 3 month scholarship at the Nightmare Factory to train with QT Marshall, WWE Hall of Famer, current AEW star Billy Gunn, and this year's Royal Rumble winner, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes.
Wow. Like, that's amazing, like, that he's doing the contest again, and it's funny because Jessica Black is a former Dudes at Ringside guest, and she's a very
Yeah,
good person. I talk to her
super
every
good
once in a
person.
while. She's really good. She's good people. She's a
I
good
actually
person.
conducted an interview with her after my match, and it was a lot of fun. Because before my match, I did an interview, and I was very nervous for it and completely messed it up. But then afterwards, when I found out I was one of the winners to go to the semifinals, I was like, okay, it's game on. Flip the switch. And I was like, all right, I got to get this interview down. And so I basically went in right after my partner, who was the first one picked. And then that's when I just kind of went in, did my thing. I think I sent it to you, Ashley. So if you do post it for reference,
Yeah,
people
I
can see
will.
it as
I will
well.
post that on the Dudes at Ringside page if you would like. I could post it also.
Absolutely. I would appreciate that.
Yes, I still have it on my phone. I'll definitely post that.
Cool. Sounds good.
My last question for you: if there's any young wrestlers or people that like a boy or a girl that wants to become a professional wrestler and they're
Sure.
listening or watching this interview, what kind of advice do you have for them?
I think really, um, in your area, go to the best wrestling school you can. Go to someone with actual credentials, someone who will actually teach you the fundamentals from the ground up. Um, and if there isn't a reputable wrestling school or a good reputation in your area for wrestling, then I would recommend leaving to go elsewhere. Like there's a variety of wrestling schools like down east, down west, in Canada, there's Johnny Devine in Alberta. In Ontario, there's the Battle Arts Academy. There's Can-Am Wrestling, ran by Scott D'Amore, who is also the VP. I think he's the president of Impact Wrestling now. Um, and then down here in the Maritimes, you have North Pro Wrestling coming out with a wrestling school. You have the Maritime Wrestling School and Culver Clutch Training, where's where I came from. Also, you have Kaizen Academy ran by Kobe Christ as well. So there's definitely a lot of options, but make sure whatever school you pick is the best one and you get everything out of it. Otherwise, if you just go in, spend money at your local gym, then you're not going to get as much as you should out of it.
Awesome.
But most of all, go to the gym, make sure you prepare your body because it's not going to be easy once you get in that ring and start taking back bumps.
Yeah, I've heard too many rough stories about the kid that goes to practice, the first practice, and they do that throwback drop, the back drop, and then
Back bump.
yeah, the back bump. They don't show up the next practice because their back is they stiffened up on them. That's the
Oh
first
yeah.
one. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I
Anytime.
really appreciate it, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck in the contest. And I hope you win. And sending the good
That.
vibes. If the fans want to follow you or they want to vote for you in the contest, where can they go to find you?
So unfortunately, there is no voting taking place. However, if they want to follow me, they could follow me on Instagram under I am Jefferson James. I believe my TikTok is the same as well. On Facebook, if you just type in Jefferson James, you'll be able to find me. Same promo pic as my Instagram and TikTok. But on Twitter, because they won't actually let me put in Jefferson James as my username under I am, it is just I am Jefferson J. And I think that's pretty much for all my social media. But for Wrestling Academy 2023, all they would have to do is look up Lut Academy. It is the same on Facebook, but it is also the same on Instagram and TikTok as well under at Lut Academy. And if they want to know more information about Jacques Rougeau's Wrestling Academy 2023, all they would have to do is type in their website, wrestling-academy.ca.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the
Time.
podcast. Please tell your wrestling friends and please tell Jacques and anybody from your school that the Ringside Podcast is open for interviews and Joe wants to interview everybody.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Joe.
No problem. I'm Joe Panther the Third.
And I'm Jefferson James. And you are
And
tuning
we will
into
catch
Dudes.
you. Sorry.
And you are tuning into Dudes at Ringside Podcast.
And we will catch you in the next one. Thank you, everybody.